Hi, welcome to the Open Mind Show. I'm Anita Burns. Today we're going to be talking to Dr. Michele Iqbal, who has been a homeopath for 25 years, studying in Pakistan and taking her studies in the United States to greater depths than ever before. She has developed her own systems and taught homeopathy for a long time. And we're going to talk to her about what is going on in her life now. Hi, Michele. Welcome.
Thank you.
Hi. I see you brought copies of your books. And this one is Your Body's Best Kept Secrets Revealed. This is your latest book?
This is my book about my homeopathic experiences.
Okay, Dr. Iqbal, Book of Homeopathy. And I have read this book. It's very, very good. Also, a mystical book about your encounters with spirits, right?
Right.
Jake, A Soul's Journey Through Time.
My experiences with the entities that help bring inspiration.
Mm-hmm. And these are available on Michele's website, and we'll put the information up for you. Hi. So,
Hi.
You've branched out of traditional homeopathy.
Yeah, I've done a lot of experimentation that isn't in the regular homeopathic literature.
What attracted you to homeopathy in the first place?
Well, that was a very interesting experience because I had never heard of homeopathy, and it was never a subject that I had thought about. But in 1981, I moved to Pakistan with my husband, who is a Pakistani national, and my small children. And in 1982 or so, I discovered that my 2-year-old son was autistic. And about that time, my husband brought a colleague of his home for dinner, and this man was Dr. Abdul Rehman, who is well known in the homeopathic world throughout the world right now because of the books he's written. But at the time, he was new to homeopathy, and I was one of his first clients. And he came home for dinner, and he was telling me about homeopathy, and I thought, well, what's this? I don't know anything about it. So he gave me a book from the British Homeopathic Society, which I read, and I thought it was fabulous, fascinating, just very different, but it made a lot of sense to me. So I told him that I was having problems with my children. My daughter had reoccurring tonsillitis and infections that she couldn't get rid of. I had several infections, and my 2-year-old son couldn't talk. He could talk early, but completely lost all language by the time he was 2.5.
Oh my goodness.
So I told this to the doctor, and I said, you know, I've got these problems. This kid doesn't talk, and this one's on antibiotics all the time. And he went, don't worry, we'll fix it. The infections disappeared with our first doses of remedies, but my son's autism was the most amazing situation because Dr. Rehman gave him only a single dose of a homeopathic remedy, and within 2 weeks he could speak full sentences.
Oh my goodness.
He went from being able to say nothing to, I want a glass of milk, within 2 weeks.
Now, this is amazing.
It is, yeah. It was amazing to me at the time.
Has this been studied by mainstream medicine?
There are many homeopaths who talk about the same remedy, but very few people listen to homeopaths in this country. That's the really difficult problem.
So even though, what do they just take it as anecdotal evidence, or they're just not interested?
Just don't believe it.
Don't believe it.
The situation with the autism is the inability to absorb sodium chloride, basic table salt.
Really?
So most autistic children will be salt cravers. They will demand salt in all of their meals. And a lot of people who have had grief situations or inherited salt deficiencies will crave salt, and doctors say, well, you shouldn't eat that much salt. But the cells aren't getting it because the barrier between the brain and the blood system isn't open, and the salt isn't getting into the brain tissue as it should. And it's sodium chloride that the brain uses to form many, many functions for the brain, particularly language in these children. So a homeopathic potentized dose of sodium chloride in an age-appropriate potency was what opened up the absorption of sodium chloride into my son's brain.
Isn't that interesting?
He's 28 years old now. All these children are geniuses. They're always at genius level. When they get the sodium absorption correctly, the genius comes out.
Yeah.
And he's never had the autism problem again. He's very much on the genius level. I repeated the remedy when he was 14, and I couldn't believe how much of a difference it made in his intelligence levels. And I have treated other children, and it always makes a difference. Whether it's not the only thing, it does help. And many of the children I have treated have had the same experience. Many homeopaths describe it on their websites or in their articles.
But it's simply ignored.
But it's totally ignored. I used to work for Capital Drugs, which is in West Hollywood.
Yeah.
It's one of the first homeopathic pharmacies in the West Coast.
I used to order from them.
Yeah. And when I was working there, I met people who knew celebrities, you know, the agents and managers of celebrities in the area. And I tried to send messages to people like Sylvester Stallone, who has an autistic son who's the same age as my son. You know, come and do something for your children. There was never any response.
Well, that surprises me. I mean, I know his mother is very active in the psychic community. Yeah.
Right.
Well, you know, what can you do? You have it there, and it's a gift, and if people...
But that's what got me into homeopathy.
Yeah, but for the sake of people watching who may not know what homeopathy is, can you give a really short kind of definition?
Homeopathy was developed about 200 years ago by a single German physician. His name was Samuel Hahnemann. And he quit being a doctor because he didn't like the fact that material medicine made his patients worse than they were before they took the medicine.
I've been there.
Yeah. So he began to translate ancient Greek literature into German because he had that knowledge of Greek language, Greek and Latin languages. And he discovered the principle that he began to experiment with, which became homeopathy. The two words mean like suffering. And the principle is like cures like. That's the basic first principle of homeopathy. That's where the homeo comes from. And pathos is suffering. So all homeopathic remedies are chosen for what they will cause in a person. And all homeopathic substances have been proven over the last 200 years. That means people with no symptoms will take a substance, and whatever symptoms arise are recorded in books called Materia Medicas. And if a drug has been proven to be safe, then it comes into the homeopathic pharmacopoeia of the United States. And any homeopathic remedy that's in the pharmacopoeia is known to be safe without any side effects.
Okay.
Now, the second principle is that all homeopathic remedies are diluted. And they're diluted and succussed, which means they're shaken. And diluted and shaken many, many times. Usually a 6 or a 30 potency means it's been shaken and diluted 30 times, or a 200 or even a 1M or a 10M means that a remedy has been diluted 10,000 times.
So there's literally no physical evidence left.
There's no molecules that can be found with our measurement instruments today.
So that gets into energetic?
What happens is that the molecule breaks up and the energetic antimatter and quantum energy inside the molecule becomes active. So what you're actually taking is a input of energy which goes to the energy parts of your body, which is what the composite of the aura is. It's actually bands of energy that control your physical body. And that's why I wrote this book, because this book explains how the remedies are potentized to make them more powerful in energy healing, how that's done, and how they actually work on the energetic parts of the body. So when we take a homeopathic remedy, the alcohol that the substance was diluted and succussed in is put on little sugar pellets. And you put the sugar pellets under your tongue, and there's a portal under your tongue that takes the energy to the energy parts of your body. And that creates an energy impulse, which then impacts the physical body. So you're not taking a substance that directly impacts the physical body, but indirectly through energy. And that makes all the difference in the world. It's gentle healing.
It works in a similar way as energy healing, because I know I do Reiki, which is an energy modality, and it's to kickstart the body to create its own.
By the pattern that was in the original substance, the energy will work on that pattern, which will match a pattern of disease in your physical body.
So that it works on like harmonics of some kind? So it knows where to go, in other words.
By the pattern of the
By the
energy
pattern
of the
of the energy.
molecule.
Okay, thank you. And I have taken homeopathic remedies, and I know that science says, oh, there's no way it could work, but it works on my cats, and they don't know. It's not power of suggestion with them.
Right.
You know?
They have no emotion to block it either.
Right, right.
Works very well on
Yeah,
animals.
but you've taken it a step further. You have developed.
I have, for the past 3 or 4 years, I have been developing a remedy combination that's based on ancient alchemical literature, which involves gold. And there is a metallic substance that's needed to convert the gold to a form that's usable by the body, and then there's a combination of other remedies in there that open up the cells to function correctly. And the point of the remedy is to open up receptor sites on cells that have been closed by corrupted food stuff and emotion that people have experienced over years and even generations, to get cells to accept nutrients correctly, respire out old toxins, and function at a level that they should have been functioning at for several hundred or even thousands of years. But a lot of the emotions that human beings have suffered from persecution over centuries has caused DNA and cell function malfunction. And the point of the remedy is to open that up again and get things to function correctly.
And you mentioned over generations, and I find that interesting because I'm reading a wonderful book right now called I'm too old to remember. Biology of Belief. Thank you. And it talks about the cells and their ability to pass on problems, yeah, and it could be emotional problems, it could be physical problems, but it's beyond the mitochondria, it's beyond what we thought was in the DNA, that it actually is as a part of the individual cells that are able to do that, and they are responsive to energy and thought.
There you go.
Which I found very interesting, and it sort of triggered that with what you were saying. So that goes right along with some of the latest research, and I think he called it something called epigenetics, but don't quote me on that. I'm not sure.
I haven't read that book, but I've read a lot of sources about the original concepts of alchemy that come from before the pharaohs of Egypt and the Sumerian.
A lot was lost in Alexandria, burned.
Right.
Yeah.
But those concepts are starting to come back, and I just took that one step further and used it in homeopathy.
Yeah.
But I must say that I do get a lot of inspiration, as you do, from the unseen world, and those inspirations have been very, very helpful to lead me to the other components of the remedy that help bring back function in DNA. And the point is that when peoples have been persecuted, and there's every group of people on the earth have been persecuted at some time in history.
Yeah.
And so in the past situations when a group is persecuted and targeted, those people, a good example is women during the Middle Ages when they were targeted as witches and healers, energy healers and so forth, and forced to give up those types of activities. They actually reined in their abilities. And when people do that sort of emotional shutdown, it actually shuts down genetic activity. And it's interesting that Duke University is now publishing articles about how they have found genes in the DNA double helix coding that are turned off. They called them, they're sort of impaired genes.
Right.
And they're usually in areas of the genetic material where diseases such as diabetes and heart disease and high blood pressure originate, which follows with the theory that these emotions from our persecution from the past are actually impacting genetic coding, and an energetic response can turn it back on again. And a lot of the modern societies that we know even in modern times that have been persecuted, such as American Indians and those African Americans who have descended from slavery have a high incidence of those diseases, diabetes, high
Isn't that
blood pressure,
interesting?
and so forth.
So what have you?
So the remedy, I usually talk about it as far as opening up receptor sites in order to help solve weight problems. Because if people have been using stimulants to lose weight or drinking diet drinks to lose weight, they have compromised receptor sites on cells. And cells aren't taking in nutrients as they should. So when a person begins to use this formula, it helps to open up receptor sites. Cells will then, when they open up, will respire out old toxins. And then the metallic gold can get into the cells and the DNA and bring back function in genetic material that has
Now, you're not talking about people
disappeared.
taking something like colloidal gold or
No.
powder gold or
Those things,
eating gold. You're talking about homeopathic.
I'm talking about homeopathically potentized gold converted to an energetic form. But before it can be converted to the energetic form, it has to be mixed with another metal, which will make it usable to the cells.
Okay, so this does sound like alchemy.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
That's where the inspiration came from, was ancient alchemy.
So do you think it might be the old alchemy, they weren't really looking for turning lead into gold, that was sort of a metaphor for something else?
For improving the lives of people and living a longer life and getting DNA and cells to function correctly.
Even though
so
they didn't
that
know
life,
about cells?
Huh?
Even though they didn't know about cells, they just had an intuition or an
Well, it
instinct
all
about
worked.
it?
You know, they lived longer lives in those days.
Yeah.
And without the
Well,
diseases.
if they
If we can believe what the Bible says.
I don't know about that. That's another subject. Don't get me started on that. But yeah, I did read a report once, though, that showed that until the 20th century, people who didn't die of disease or accident actually had a longer average lifespan than we do today.
Right.
Yeah. So
And I
if you
think that's
survived
true.
the smallpox and whatever,
But you know,
you lived much longer.
there isn't any evidence in the historic records that those epidemic diseases were rampant until the Middle Ages. And the Middle Ages were a very restrictive emotional time when church organizations were persecuting a lot of people. And it seems to me that it's possible that epidemics didn't proliferate until people's defenses waned. And that in former times, they didn't have such epidemics.
Well, yeah, and perhaps there are a lot of other factors too. In the Middle Ages, people lived pretty much not only repressed lives, but pretty squalid lives too. Ate a lot of meat and very little vegetables because it wasn't available. Water was bad and so forth, and the air was bad, and the water was polluted with feces and so on. So there are a lot of environmental factors too that may have contributed to that, where before people were more agrarian.
Well, that's true, but if you go to other parts of the world where people live like that today, there is it's obvious that if one has a good immune system and an ability to handle that environment, it doesn't make any difference. So a lot depends on the body's ability to handle that situations. But basically, I'm promoting this formula as a solution to weight problems. And
well, certainly.
that's
I'm
which is
listening.
huge.
I'm listening.
And I use my own life as an example because when I was a young child, I had a little bit of a weight problem because I was calcium deficient, which caused the recurring infections as myself as a young adult and my children also. And I explain how that took place and how to get rid of that calcium deficiency in this book. But when I was in high school, because I was a little bit overweight, my father took me to a doctor who prescribed amphetamines. And diet drinks at the time. So when I was in high school, I took amphetamines and diet drinks, and I started to gain weight. I'd been a little, overweight, but never with a lot of weight until that time. But even then, when I graduated from high school, I weighed about 160 pounds, and I'm only 5'3", and I'm supposed to weigh 110. So I was a little bit overweight, and when I went to college, I went to UC Davis, and I was walking across a huge campus, and I got into a lifestyle where I would only have a meal every 2 or 3 days a week.
Ooh.
And I lost 20 pounds, only 20 pounds in all of that activity.
Something else was going on there.
Yes, exactly. So at that time I met my husband, and he was a national from Pakistan. His name's Michele Iqbal. And we got married in 1972. And when I moved to Pakistan and I discovered homeopathy, and Dr. Rehman helped me get rid of my calcium deficiency, I actually lost quite a bit and became quite thin, you know, and it was good at that time. But I ruined that situation by again taking a pharmaceutical, which was the fen-phen diet thing.
Oh yeah, I know so many people who got caught in that. Yeah.
And so I ruined the situation that I had created by taking homeopathic remedies by again taking a stimulant drug to lose weight. So then I really started gaining weight, and by the time I came back from Pakistan in 1989, I weighed 200 pounds. And then I was trying to do homeopathy here in the U.S. in the early 90s, and I had some friends who were homeopathic. Well, they were actually not true homeopathic practitioners, but herbalists and energy healers who talked me into taking the products that had herbal stimulants in it.
Wasn't that just as bad?
Exactly, but I didn't know that at the time
yeah.
because homeopathy is not herbal medicine.
Right.
Because of the dilution process. It has nothing to do really with the concepts of herbal. But by taking the herbal stimulants, I really put myself in a situation.
You mean like ephedra and guarana?
Ephedra and
guarana?
guarana and taurin. These are, and ginseng, these are all herbs. Just because they're natural doesn't mean they're safe, because anything in overdose.
I used
they
to work
still
in a
work
supplement store, so I would tell these to people, and oh no.
No, as long as they don't, it's hard for them to believe it. But now the government is stepping in, particularly for ephedra. But that really was a problem for me because my weight ballooned to 240 pounds, and I became insulin resistant, which means I was on the verge of becoming diabetic. And with the development of my formula, I've lost 40 pounds. My blood sugar levels are completely normal, and my blood pressure levels are also completely normal. So I've completely come back to normal. But I'm not done yet. You know, I'm still working on the formula is in good shape, but how to manipulate it for weight loss, I'm still working on.
Do you sell this formula, or?
I have to find a manufacturer because just like with the pharmaceuticals, when you go to your doctor does not sell you pharmaceuticals.
Right.
It's separated in this country. Your doctor gives you the advice, the pharmacist sells you pharmaceuticals.
Oh, okay.
So I cannot sell the product directly, but I will find a manufacturer who will produce the product for me.
But when you have patients, you can recommend it to them, or?
A few patients. I have had some of my regular clients who are trusting of me and are my regular clients who have tried it. And it works very well on many levels for people for whatever their situation is.
What about menopausal weight? Mine.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I was always such a stick. I was just in the opposite. I weighed 98 pounds most of my life, and then 110 for most of my adult life, and then I hit menopause. Boom. You know, I blew up like all those fat cells were just waiting for my estrogen to go down and plump.
There's a lot that goes on at menopause. Some of the hormones that are being produced by ovaries is not correct. And that's what the hot flashes is. It's your body trying to burn off the incorrect
So you're saying
substance.
they're a good thing?
No, well, there's a reason why they're there, whether they're good or not. There's a reason why they're there. But the other thing is a lot of the chemicals of emotion and a lot of the hormonal the hormones that are improper will again start to shut down receptor sites. And whether it's emotion or errors in diet, like trying to diet, or the hormonal situations that come on at menopause, things should balance out. Now, among my clients who have used the formula, those that did not have much weight to lose but wanted to tone up were able to lose some weight and tone up, but they don't lose a lot of weight if they don't have a lot of weight to lose.
Oh, that's good.
Because this isn't a stimulant, you know,
Right.
it doesn't force your body to go against its natural impulses. But those who did have large amounts of weight to lose were able to lose it, particularly if you've taken diet drinks and stimulants, because those things really compromise cells. And a person has a very, very difficult time dieting. They're usually not successful at usual diets because the cells are not metabolizing. So this remedy opens up cells so they begin to metabolize and use up more nutrients. So then a mild diet and regular exercise helps a person lose weight. So I'm not saying that this is going to force a person to lose weight. It helps with diet and exercise to
Makes
allow
them more
them to and more effectively lose weight. And all of my clients who have used it have not only experienced weight loss, but an improvement in mental function. And many who are involved in the metaphysical world have seen a turning on of metaphysical activity.
Really?
And abilities.
So this has a lot of possibilities.
Yes, because it works on many levels.
Yeah. This sounds very exciting.
It could be.
Well, if someone wanted to get in touch with you, maybe ask you more questions about this or order your books, how would they?
Through my website, which is micheleIqbal.com, MicheleIqbal.com.
All right.
The books are available. They can email me through the website. There will be some more information about the formula soon. My webmaster is working on it. And there are not only are the books available, but there are free e-books available that explain a lot of the homeopathic concepts.
Just quickly, because we're running out of time, but would you like to say something about your book, Jake?
Jake was an inspiration and a period of time when I was taking care of my mother as she was dying, when spirits that had known me for many lifetimes began to show up in my life. And they showed me situations that occurred with them as my soul entity in other lifetimes. And I found it so fascinating that I decided to write about it, my lifetimes with many of these entities. And these entities remain around in my environment and help to inspire me to find substances that become part of my remedy formulas.
It's always good to get help from the other side,
Oh yes,
isn't it?
because you know, William Blake said it almost 300 or 400 years ago, that nothing new can be found by following the same old roads that we travel on every day. So something that has not existed before has to come from the unseen world.
I like that. I like William Blake anyway. Well, Michele, thank you very much. This has been enlightening and interesting, and I was wondering if maybe you would come back sometime and talk some more about this when your formula is perfected and maybe out. And
maybe out in the public, yes,
yeah.
sure.
All right.
Thanks for having me.
Very much. Hi, thank you for watching, and remember to subscribe to our show so that you don't miss a minute of all the wonderful guests that we have for you.